Jives, and went, yo, this is Mike D.
With the master plan.
So her band, Luscious Jackson, who I think it was Gabby Sunday and Jill Cuniff, they were signed to Grand Royal, and Debbie came back from New York and brought me the Luscious Jackson CD and a pair of green Campus. And I was just like, fucking two best presents I've ever had in my fucking life. Because literally, like, everybody wanted Campus. You couldn't get them in this country at all. So before that, we were wearing Gazelles, we were wearing Puma States, because that was the only thing that you could get that kind of looked like that.
Yeah.
But she came back with Campus, and I was like, oh man. And she's like, here, I knew you'd like these. I'm like, ah, dude, really? But, oh yeah, man, that was...
Was that the record label that the Beastie Boys like grew themselves when they were in the...
Yes.
Like third album, when they're just basically...
That's their best album.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Like, people say that Paul's Boutique's their Sargent.
Like, the third album, they went away and built their own studio, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what they did with that was literally they just get stoned and jam. Literally, they'd jam for hours and then listen back to the tape. Mario Kodato would listen back to the tapes and pick out bits, and then they'd form them into songs.
I can't remember what song it was, but MCA had hooked up a loop on a tape around, like, I'm sure it was like a seat and a lampshade or some shit. But just the creativity that I seen that they were going at.
Like, because it wasn't until I started learning more about the Beastie Boys that how much MCA was the creative driving force behind the whole thing.
MCA is an absolute legend.
Oh, totally. But Mike D, that's the only one that I've spoken to a couple of times, and we'd been to see them the night before. So basically, Slam City Skates, going back to the Jives thing, Slam City Skates was like Gimme Five distributed Supreme, Bathing Ape, or Very Ape at that time, and then Stussy, and Slam City Skates did like Holmes, Fresh Jive, Fucked, like all these kind of brands. But they did Grand Royal as well. So Mike D there was a guy, Russell Waterman there, who's the guy that started Holmes, which became Silas. He used to run Slam City Skates. So we used to go, when we were down in London doing the buy, and you'd go out to them, and again, it was cash and carry. So you're just we were basically pick all the stuff, they would ship it up, and then we'd get it in the shop in a couple of days. And then they started doing Grand Royal stuff.